When we talk about America's first serial killer, one name stands out: H. Holmes. Known for his chilling crimes and the mysterious murder castle he built in Chicago, Holmes has fascinated true crime enthusiasts for over a century. His story is filled with deception, cunning, and brutal acts that continue to spark debates and theories. In today's video, we'll dive into the life of Herman Webster Mudgett, better known as H. Holmes, and uncover the details of his terrifying legacy, the investigations into his crimes, and the theories surrounding his involvement in some of history's most notorious cases. Let's explore why H. Holmes is remembered as one of the darkest figures in American crime history. H. Holmes was born Herman Webster Mudgett in 1861 in Gilmanton, New Hampshire. As a child, he was reportedly bright and ambitious, but there were early signs of something much darker. He went on to study medicine at the University of Michigan, where he became skilled in anatomy and surgery. But his interest in medicine didn't stop at healing. It seemed to fuel his darker desires. After completing his studies in 1884, Mudgett moved to Chicago, where he reinvented himself as H. Holmes. In Chicago, during the excitement surrounding the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition, Holmes saw an opportunity. He opened a new business, a pharmacy, and began to build a grand hotel, one that would become infamous for all the wrong reasons. Holmes's most notorious creation was the murder castle at 701 to 703 West 63rd Street in Chicago. This hotel, built specifically for his criminal activities, was designed to be a maze of hidden doors, trapdoors, and secret rooms. Holmes turned the building into a deadly labyrinth, complete with rooms that could be locked from the outside, gas chambers, and soundproof walls. He would use these features to carry out his murders, often in the most horrific ways. The victims were mostly young women who came to Chicago seeking employment. Holmes lured them in with promises of work in his business, only to trap them in the castle where he could carry out his gruesome experiments and murders. Some victims were asphyxiated, while others met more violent ends, and many were never seen again. While the exact number of Holmes' victims is unclear, estimates range from 20 to 200. What makes this case particularly chilling is the sheer audacity of Holmes. He ran his murder castle as a legitimate hotel, deceiving people into staying in a building that was, essentially, a death trap. Holmes's crimes eventually caught up with him. In 1894, he became involved in the disappearance of his former business partner, Benjamin Pitezel, and his family. This case led authorities to start investigating Holmes, and by 1895, he was arrested for Pitezel's murder. During questioning, Holmes confessed to a series of other murders, but his statements were inconsistent, which only deepened the mystery surrounding his crimes. A full investigation into the murder castle soon revealed a horrifying scene. Human remains were found, as well as tools that seemed to be used for medical experiments. With mounting evidence, Holmes was convicted of Pitezel's murder in 1896 and sentenced to death. He was executed by hanging later that year. Despite his execution in 1896, the case of H. Holmes has continued to captivate people. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged regarding his crimes. One of the most well-known and persistent theories is that Holmes could have been Jack the Ripper, the infamous London killer who terrorized the city in 1888. Some have speculated that Holmes may have committed the Ripper murders while in London before moving to Chicago to continue his killing spree. While there's no solid evidence linking the two, this theory continues to stir debate among true crime fans. Another theory is that Holmes may have had accomplices, possibly even a network of people who helped him carry out his murders. While this theory has been largely dismissed by most historians, it's one that still fascinates some people who believe that Holmes' crimes were more extensive than we know. Even after all these years, the story of H. Holmes remains a source of fascination. His murder castle was demolished in 1938, but its legacy continues to haunt Chicago. The site where it once stood has become a point of interest for those intrigued by the dark history of Holmes's crimes. Over the years, books, documentaries, and films have been made about Holmes, helping to keep his story alive and fueling continued interest in the case. Holmes has become a symbol of deception and manipulation. He was a man who seemed to be one thing on the surface, charming, successful, and well-educated, while hiding the darkest of secrets. His ability to fool people and evade capture for so long is a testament to his cunning, and it's one of the reasons his story continues to captivate. What makes someone like H. Holmes tick? Many experts have analyzed his actions, and most agree that he exhibited classic signs of psychopathy, narcissism, a lack of empathy, and a need for control. He didn't just kill for pleasure, he seemed to see people as tools to be used and discarded at his whim. His medical training, combined with his manipulative nature, allowed him to carry out his crimes in a methodical, almost clinical way. Holmes's motivations have been the subject of much debate. Was it simply a thirst for power, or was there something deeper driving him? Some theories suggest that he was motivated by financial gain, while others point to a desire for fame. Whatever the reason, his crimes were chilling, and the legacy of his twisted actions lives on. The story of H. Holmes is one of the darkest chapters in American crime history. From his early days as a bright medical student to his reign of terror in Chicago, Holmes is remembered as a manipulative and cold-blooded killer who used his charm and intelligence to mask his depravity. His murder castle remains a haunting reminder of his ability to deceive and destroy, and his legacy endures through the many theories and investigations that continue to swirl around his name. Despite the passage of time, the mystery of H. Holmes remains far from solved. While we may never know the full extent of his crimes, the case of H. Holmes is one that will continue to haunt us for generations to come. What do you think? Do you believe that H. Holmes was responsible for other murders beyond Chicago? Could he really have been Jack the Ripper? Or was that just another legend spun from his gruesome crimes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this dive into one of America's most infamous serial killers, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with others. We've got plenty more true crime investigations coming your way. Stay tuned.